Hey, come on. Come on. Hey. What? Here we go, here we go, here we go now. Hey. Let's chit chat, this is the show now. Come on. Bad black mama's gonna let you know now. Hey. Here we go, here we go, here we go now. Come on. Let's chit chat, let's chit chat, hey. Let's chit chat, sis. Hey, what's up? Let's chit chat, let's chit chat, let's chit chat, sis. Hey.
So this topic tonight is a really hot one, okay? I'm gonna say hot because I think everybody have sex, even with the opposite sex or with the same sex. Everybody have sex. So I mean, unless you a youngster, and I don't know if they probably have more sex than all of us. But I'm just saying everybody has sex. So we just want to talk about not just our personal sex lives, but what makes us happy. What makes us feel indifferent. My girl Natasha, she's our expert on the porch, and she's gonna lead this episode. But before we start, I have a question for you, okay? All of us have male children. CG, you have a male too. But CG, we need your voice as the male expert on this question, okay? So how would you feel if your son, he's at least 25, 26, 27, brings home a woman that is 20 plus years? Well, don't turn around yet. I'm just saying. And honestly, be honest.
And just pops up like,
what you say?
Let me break the scenario down. So he just pops her up out of nowhere, just like at my house, and I don't know nothing about the background, nothing.
Nothing.
We gonna have a talk off to the side. I'm not gonna, embarrass him in front, but I'm gonna be like, what are you doing here? Is this serious or not? Because a lot of younger guys, the reason why they like older women is because there's not all that red tape when it comes to sex. There's not all that whining and dining. There's not that courting, and you don't have to do all that when you're dealing with a cougar. You just don't. So my thing would be like, what are you really doing here? Is this serious or not? Because if it's not serious, don't be bringing your little flings over to my house. If it is serious,
I came to see which room I'm going to use. You need
to go to her house. Go to her house. She got a house. She don't have a house.
We hope that she has a house. We will hope that she has.
You will hope, yeah, because that's a good one. Because everybody don't have to have a house.
All right, whatever. Go to her place. Don't bring it over here.
Wherever she sleep at, huh? Go over there.
It just would really come down to like the intentions and everything. Like, obviously, I'm not going to encourage my son to take anything serious with a woman 20 years older. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to. Especially if you're trying to have kids and everything. Like, she's going to be 20 years older than you, and she might be too old to be messing around with the kids and stuff. Like, you kind of want the same energy level. Like, at least that's just for me. Like, for everybody else, hey, do your thing, but I wouldn't encourage it. If you want to just play around, all right, cool, but don't bring that to my house. Like,
please. What if he's 19 and she's 39? She can still have kids, and her eggs are still pretty good.
Okay, and in 10 years she's gonna be 49, and that's gonna be a 49-year-old playing around with 10-year-old. There's not gonna be the same energy level. Like, I get it. My thing is, I'm gonna just tell my side straight up, and this is where I really feel. I don't know too many guys who actually, I've only known one guy who got married to a cougar. Everybody else is just play. I mean, I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules. That's just usually what it is. Guys usually don't go to older women for like relationships.
She's ready for a baby either at 19 and 39. So they're already on the same level.
Yeah, that's a big difference in immaturity. You know what I mean? Immaturity. I can think about, I don't know. I don't want to judge nobody. I don't know what woman wants a 19-year-old. I can tell you, I had a 19-year-old, and I know what they go through as a 19-year-old male. And if I'm 39, I don't know. I don't even know if I want to be having just hump sessions with the little boy.
Kimmy, can you clarify? Can you clarify having a 19-year-old?
Oh, my son at 19 years old.
No. Okay, no. That's the clarification I was looking for. You said your words were, "I had a 19-year-old." So
no.
I'm like, what?
No. I'm glad you made me clarify. Yes,
Okay, all right.
I raised a 19-year-old. Okay.
There you go. Okay.
And my son is now 25, going on 26. And at 19, he was off in college, and I was just hoping that he was living his best life, and he was not thinking about things that I thought about at 39. You know what I mean? It was a big difference. I had a lot more responsibilities than he was facing at 19 years old. And I don't think that if I say personally myself, messed with a 19-year-old when I was 39 and still was capable of having kids, that's not going to work out well. I could tell you that much, because it's so much with raising kids. I don't want to bring you up to that level, but if it's just for pleasure purposes only, I don't know how that goes, because I never dated anybody with such a big gap. Oh, wait a minute, we're going to reel over here for a minute.
See,
Dated a guy that was younger than me. He was more than 10 years younger than me. And I introduced him to some things. And let me tell you, to this day, he still is very, I don't want to say infatuated, but he still remembers the things that I introduced him to. And so for me, I'm a teacher, because, I don't want to know what you did with Jane Doe, and that shit ain't even right. Right. I want to know what you do with me. And I'm a teacher. So I had fun, and he wasn't 19. Let's definitely wasn't 19.
But the backside of being a teacher, Mel, is they fall in love with your ass.
Yeah.
And now they running behind you, and you can't get rid of them because you done taught him that good stuff that he's not ready for that age.
Yeah, you can
don't mix infatuation with love though. Like you can't say that because he liked the sex and now he in love. It might just literally be the sex and the lack of barriers to having sex with an older woman, because there's not as many barriers as dealing with a woman your own age or younger. Nowhere near as many barriers.
That's true. I didn't have no
you think he's in love. He would we know it's infatuation and it's lust. His undeveloped front cortex, his forehead.
I think
wouldn't it be the same as the May, December, whereas we accuse young women of looking for their fathers and these men that they go after and what they provide them. And I would think that some of that would be the same when it comes to these young men dating a woman who could be old enough or close to be old enough to be their mothers. Yeah. There's a certain type of security that she can provide him, and a certain type of nurturing that she could possibly provide him. And so I think that to Mel's point and what she was saying as far as teaching him some things, well, we know what she meant by teaching, but let's look at it in an overall scenario. And again, it still comes from that motherly or mothering, nurturing spirit,
right?
I think. And so I think that would be the difference between the infatuation versus actually being in love, just because you're just in so many different areas in your life. And maturity wise, you can be with a person who might be 10 years younger than you. And okay, maybe maturity wise, you are in the same place depending on that woman and what she's experienced in her life or whatever. But 20 years is kind of hard to, that's a big age difference. 40 and 60 is still enough of an age difference. It's the same thing, but at least at 40, you've lived some life.
You live some life. That's doable. It really is doable. That's doable.
Yeah.
But I don't want to take right outside of the high school. I mean, just that's what you're saying. You're catching them fresh out of high school. And the
told he wasn't 19.
You know what I mean? I just think about it. If they wasn't the brightest camper at the camp, they may still be at the high school. You know what I mean? So you fooling around with them, that they could be really big and girth as a young man, and you feel like, okay, I'm infatuated with that. But two, because I just want to play around with them, I just think it's a little risky and it's a little dangerous. But Keisha, you ain't said nothing.
Okay, I'm going back to the original question was if my son brought home someone that was 20 plus older, I would side eye her and would say, what is your angle? I know what his angle is because he wants to experience an older woman, and that's kind of like the thing, I guess, a fantasy of a man. I've been with an older woman one time before, and I don't, she doesn't necessarily have the expectations of me than she would of an old man, because I don't have it. You know, I'm not at her level yet. But I would like, what is your what is your angle with him? Because he can't possibly, because I be thinking about him as a child, he can't possibly be no
Ready for you.
Sex at that
Ready for
time.
you,
Yeah.
really. And let's be honest, ready for you. So, I mean, everybody has stated their point. I don't want to belabor this because I want Tasha to go rock and roll in this show because, you know, we're going to talk about, like Salt and Pepper said, let's talk about sex, baby. So we talked about our kids. Natasha, I know you can go into a lot of more detail with that and maybe it'll intertwine, but the floor is yours, doll.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're talking about sex. Hey, that's my jam. Okay, so my first question would be, how comfortable are you all talking about sex?
Ooh, that's a good question. I
I'm
had
quite
no
comfortable.
problem whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm quite comfortable.
Yeah, I'm comfortable because we all
In the right circles,
Yes.
circles, because
That's
everybody,
keyword. Yeah.
everybody else is not on the same level. So I have to feel the room before I would broach a subject
Absolutely.
like that. Mhm.
not me, because I'm gonna tell you right now. I'll just say it. I'm not me. I'm telling you. I get around my mom. You know what I mean? She'll side eye me. You know what I mean? And she'll just be like, "But mom, you had to do something to get me here." You know what I mean? So don't act like you didn't. And like my brother, you know, me and my brother, we're like best friends. So some of the stuff we say, we'll say, you know, he'll let me say it because he just know I just don't give a damn, and I'll just come out and say it while he's behind me laughing, like, like.
But my point is, but the thing is, but even what you're saying is still about being funny. I'm talking about a serious conversation
I'll
about
tell you
sex.
that too. What you want
Yeah,
now?
I
What you want
just,
now?
but my thing is everybody else doesn't. And just to Kimmy's point, some people make it play for it. So then now sometimes you really can't be serious about it
Mhm.
depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a saying in the one song, I think it's Ludacris, and his lyrics say, you know, some say that sex is overrated, but they just ain't doing it right. So I feel like if you can't talk about it, then you really don't know what you're doing. So now that's me, but I could be wrong.
I told Chauncey this. I don't want to jump off subject, but I have to say this. I told Chauncey this. I don't know if I told her this about 2 weeks ago. You better listen carefully what Chauncey's saying, because when I have to go over these videos and stuff, I just be like, I can't believe Chauncey said that. But go ahead, Natasha.
I was asking CJ, I couldn't tell if he had said yes, if he shook his head.
I think I'm a little different about it. I'm kind of reserved about talking about it. Like I'm not one of those guys who goes to my boys and like, yo. I don't do that. I'm very private about it. But I am comfortable talking about it, but it's just not something it's not an everyday thing, because I just feel like it's very whoever I'm, you know, with, like,
right.
That's a very private interaction. I don't be talking about it. So
yeah.
Okay.
But that's very respectful, don't you think, Natasha? Because, you know, I think that women get a label for gossiping, when I think men are the biggest gossipers.
You know, I was getting ready to say, I think the tables are turning, and I think we are recognizing how much men actually do gossip.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. I think we do talk a lot about it.
They ain't
I think
turning, they've been that way.
on average, like we'll like always sharing, you know, what we're doing with, you know, our partners and stuff. Personally, I just don't like that. I've just never been that type of guy. I just don't believe in that whole kissing and telling thing. Like whatever goes on between me and her, that's between me and her.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't. I think it's really weird when guys are like, yeah, I did that. Like, okay, you don't get no ass. Like, we get it. You don't have sex like you talk about, because you need attention. Why you need so much attention?
But Tasha, are you meaning it in that sense? And I guess that's why I was saying it depends on the setting in which you're talking and whom you're talking to. Because just to talk about sex, just to talk about it,
okay,
yeah, I definitely don't.
Let's do it. Let's do it deeper. What is your level of vulnerability when talking to your partner? Like, and I'm talking about things that, because this would go into knowing what you want, right? So if you happen to see something in a movie, or you happen to scroll through something because you put the wrong thing into Google search, and you're like, oh, well, what is that? Now, are you vulnerable enough and comfortable enough to be like, hey, I seen this thing today on the Google search on accident, but I seen it.
She said,
And actually, I felt a tingle where I tingle.
I straight free. I straight free when it comes to
But
that.
are you vulnerable enough? Like, if you would find it taboo, or it's like, am I supposed to like that? Are you comfortable enough sharing that with your partner, or do you just sit with it or let it go? What do you do with it?
Now, if I'm curious, I'm definitely bringing it to the
Yeah.
table.
I'm bringing to the table. I agree with you, Chauncey. Like, I think you
I
should
do
do
something
it.
different. I think if I have run across, like, and I have in my life, ran across things that have brought excitement to me, I wouldn't even discuss it. I would just try it on, my partner.
Don't do that.
I just do
Try it on them without even telling them.
It may not be them. I don't tell them. I just do it. Just.
Okay, that's gonna have to be a whole nother episode. Write that down. That's a whole nother episode.
Oh,
Okay, I'm gonna write that down. What's the name of that episode, Natasha?
What you won't do, surprise.
what you won't do. I'm just saying. I'm just being honest with y'all. That's what I have done. And
But why wouldn't you
ran
mention
into a
it first?
person where they say, "Damn, what you doing?"
Yeah,
I would say,
but you
I
don't
would
know
tell
their
it.
reaction, and you don't know. We like to think that we know all of our partners' like triggers and traumas, but we don't, because a lot of times they don't even know it. So you may be putting yourself in a situation of harm when they like, what is going on, or putting them in a place of harm if they get triggered and they don't know how to talk to you about what's going on. That's like a safety thing, because we don't know everything about everybody, because we don't know everything about ourselves. So
I'm safe now, because I done been married a long time now. What I try on him and do to him, he'd be like, oh God, what is she doing?
Well, no, to Tasha's point, I agree. It goes both ways for me and for my spouse. And there was something just what I thought was no big deal and very playful. And he had a very severe reaction to it. And I was quite surprised, because I thought it was so playful. And I was just like, I'm so sorry. And so the reaction just made me very gun shy going forward. And because of things that happened to me as a young person, there's certain things and places I still won't go. And so I would have liked to have had that conversation first, prior to my partner just trying it, and then me having that same negative reaction. And simply because in the beginning of the relationship, I let it be known that there were some trigger things for me. And so, so I see what Tasha is saying. So that was my experience.
I feel like a lot of Black men don't want you to touch the taint meat. Let's just be real. There's an area between the balls and the ass. Black man is just like, don't fuck with it. And you think that look at CG.
Yo, I'm ready for this.
I'm just saying, like, they don't want you to fuck with that, because if you get too close, they're like, hey, wait. What
You don't know why? Because a lot of women be wanting to play with you. They be wanting to play with your butthole.
Yeah.
And what they do is they try to butter you up with that taint area.
Butter you up.
And then the next day, there's a finger up your butt or something. And it's like,
They
be trying to warm you up to that. And it's like, no.
I would have to agree that it's just the ploy to get a little closer.
Right.
Yeah, that's the truth. That is the truth.
Like with Kayla.
I just want to be a little close.
My husband has a little two little tiny. I call him coconuts. People ask me. I have another name for him too. But he has he got a little butt. So like sometimes when he sleep, I'll just come over there. He'd be like, "You better stop playing, because I ain't playing." Stop playing. I gotta get up early tomorrow. I said, "You did nothing." He said, "I know what you can ready to do. Go over there, because I see you tip over here." I was like, I'm just trying to keep some excitement. Don't keep no excitement over there. Yes, that's not for that. I was like, okay, all right. Just you remember that too, okay?
Not the
Listen,
tip for
there was
time.
a day I was cleaning out my garage, and I don't know if I told y'all this, but they were like my under storage, and the guy was like, what should we do with this box? And it was a big box of dicks, double-sided dicks, big black dicks, strap-on dicks. And he was like, what should I do with this? And I was like, shit, I don't know nobody that want to play with me now, so just throw that shit out. Just throw it out. Because a lot of men have a problem with that. Back in the day, they were more amenable to it. But now they just like, don't come near my ass. Don't even come near the taint meat.
Do
You'll
you think
know
it's
the guys that
because,
want it.
what you say, CJ?
You'll know the guys that want it when you'll know.
That's the point I was going to say. The people that okay, so that's the red flag for me. If I was dating somebody and they always had their ass turned up to me like that, we got a problem. We're not.
But why is that a red
not gonna
flag?
allow-
Why is that a red flag?
But yeah,
That's a red
because
flag to me. I'm just saying, maybe not for other people, but if you are like pushing your ass more than you pushing your penis,
It would be a red flag for me.
it's gonna be a red flag.
It's gonna be a red flag.
It's too many. Okay,
Because I'm thinking you like it.
I don't
just
really
wanna
care
know
who
the-
messes who.
I just want to know the
reason.
reasoning, because if we're talking about pleasure, we automatically have been taught to stigmatize what that pleasure needs to look like, and we automatically put this label on someone.
That's
So,
true.
like,
That's true.
I like it because
That's true.
men literally have the prostate is like the fucking
right there, right
holy
there.
holy grail of that.
I
Like,
get what you're saying, but not everybody wants to be in that dominant role when they're having sex
Right,
too. So
right.
that might be another thing too, because I know some girls who are doms that they finally turn a guy out into that, and then they're like, yeah, I'm not really interested in him no more in that capacity. You know, prior
think
to
you
right.
us being
I
together
think
like
you
that.
know, but I don't want my husband to be. I don't want to be the aggressor. I'll just say I don't want to be the aggressor over my husband. And I think that if he was like he liked for me to play around in his anal area and stuff like that, I could see that eventually I probably could take control over him, you know. And I don't want that from him. You know what I mean? I don't want him to overpower me either, because then I don't want we gonna have a problem. But I just don't want that type. I ain't gonna lie.
I think it's about preserving the way that we view that person too, because there's certain things that you just, yeah, it does look when you're talking, especially when you talk about penetration with a guy, you're talking about a guy being in a submissive type of role, you know.
Correct.
So it could definitely change the way you look at that person. I definitely don't want that, you know, and I don't want a girl who wants to do that to me. So I mean, I think it really just comes down to like you preserving that image of that person within sex too, and that's why it may be a red flag.
You're right about
Prevent you
that,
from
because
getting
I
in the
would think
military still?
What's that?
Does that still prevent you from getting in the military?
no.
They got rid of that stuff a long time.
Ass play? Get you out of the military?
Shoot, when I came back,
If a sodomy act was committed on you, yeah, you would be stamped that you couldn't get into the service.
oh no, they repealed the don't ask, don't tell policy and everything in 2009. 2009 when I came back from Iraq.
But that included
It's
the
gone.
medical exam.
They don't care about that stuff.
Okay.
Let me tell you, let me tell you, it's a whole different world in the military right now. If you ask anybody, they're really taking they're really being really conscious. I'm gonna say this much, because the things that was allowed previously, you know, we might say that's just a physical act, but just the mental implications that came along with that,
Right.
they are feeling the impact. And I know I was working under the Army for almost 4 years, and I used to kind of joke, like my brother, I was like, oh no, you can't holler at them, you can't, you know, none of that stuff goes anymore, because you know, people got out the military and they really suffered tremendously, you know what I mean? They may have kept it impacted during it, but it's a different, and I think it's for the better. I mean, we're not we need to think about people whole being, you know what I mean? But
when I was in, we knew who was who and we protected them. And
Yeah.
the only people who went out of their way to try to hurt somebody because of that were usually assholes. Because you were messing with people's pensions, a lot of stuff. So like We
Okay.
knew who,
I
like
was
in
just
our
curious.
unit, we knew. Like I remember my boy came out to me when I came back from Iraq. I was like, "What you coming out for? We've been known. We don't want
We
to
were waiting on you, sir. We were waiting.
Like we've been
on you.
waiting on you."
Did y'all know that sexual intimacy and mental health were so closely related that
Absolutely.
it
Mhm.
almost makes it like you can't deny who you are, being whether you want to be ass play or straight or whatever. It's so closely related. It almost makes it like mental health and well-being and having sex have to be on your agenda for health.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that's
it
true.
is like I definitely recommend masturbation and things like that to my clients because it's a place of liberation. Like it should be a place of freedom. Like I choose what it is that I want to put, which is why I asked the question, like, what is the red flags? And only because I like to know, is this actually your idea and your thought of it? Or is it an idea that came from someone else passed that down to you? Like, I'm really big on that with my clients right now when it comes to pleasure. Why are you not doing something? Why are you judging something? Is it because you genuinely decided this is my value, this is my moral, it's a no for me because it's me? A lot of us don't even recognize when we're lying because we don't recognize that we're holding other people's narratives to what it is because we don't take the time to do that work for ourselves, especially when it comes to sex and pleasure, because there is no one to teach us how to do that.
Right.
And for me, getting back to something that CG said about your perspective of the person after the sex act, to me, if someone wants me to play in their behind, I want to look at them differently. So for me, that value of I just couldn't do it because that's just not what I want to do with with a partner. And I would just view them differently because I was like, well, are you gonna be the woman with me because I'm heterosexual? I want, to be with a man. And to me, that wouldn't be manly. Just my perspective.
And see, I come from a clinical lens. So I'm always like, well, why do you think that? Well, why do you think? So I may ask you that, but I'm just asking because I'm genuinely like, why do you think that? Where'd that come from? So y'all just, if I do it too much, just be like, hey, you're doing it. You're doing it.
No, I think it's good dialogue. Okay, you got more questions, Natasha?
Is there anything that you've wanted to do that you've desired that you have not done?
I wanted to take the big double-sided dildo and fuck the hell out of this one guy in New Jersey. He would refuse
Jersey.
He lived in Jersey. I was living in Philly. He was living in Jersey. And I wanted to do that so bad. And he would let me do it with the little dildo, but he would not allow me to do it with this big, like this long one. Well, maybe it wasn't that long. It's probably that long. I haven't wanted to do it. And I don't think that's emasculating. I just think that massaging the prostate is what men like, whether it be with a finger or something. And I think we have put a stigma on it that makes them feel like they can't do it. But
but here's my
She's like, oh, hell no.
Let me tell you something.
Wait a minute, because here's my question. Why? So you had the desire more than he had the desire for himself. Is that right?
He liked the dildo.
It was too big.
But I wanted the big dildo.
She was pushing.
But the desire was yours, not his.
It was mine. I'm like, why else would I want to do it? I want to do what,
He probably feel abused.
He probably would have felt raped. I'm
Violated.
sure he would have.
Yeah, so I mean, when you think about it, it probably took him out his.
That was something I wanted to do. I wanted to do that. And I just wanted to see what it was like. Men do it to women all the time. They put things inside of women that are bigger than we can stand or whatever, and they feel like it's okay. And I was like, I want to see what it feels like in the reverse. So
your curiosity was
that
more
makes
of
you
a
feel type. You ain't got no sexual organ that you can put in somebody though. Like, so it's a little. I mean, I get what you're saying. I really do. Personally, I don't want you playing with my prostate. I don't want you touching my asshole. That's for me because that's a level of vulnerability that I don't want to experience. And you can't tell me like, You're safe no matter what. I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to be bent over. It's just a level of vulnerability within
No,
sex.
just lay flat.
I don't want.
I appreciate you saying that, CC, because what sex, what pleasure, what intimacy ultimately boils down to is safety.
And I don't, that's where the
safety.
I mean, I hear it, and I believe everybody when they're like, yo, the prostate is lit. Yo, if you can get it off the prostate, cool. But it's still like that process to getting there. I don't care what's going on. I'm not putting myself in that position because I'm never going to feel safe. So if I don't feel safe, like how would I even get to that point where it's like I'm going to enjoy myself?
There's a
The
safety word.
whole time. Like, it's not gonna work.
Answer from the new question that she asked. Ramel said what she liked. Chauncey, you next.
I haven't gotten there yet.
In your life?
I haven't. Her question was, is there something that you want to try that you haven't tried? And so I don't know everything, but I know I've done pretty good and I've enjoyed what I have done, but I don't know yet. And I am a firm believer in, especially if I feel safe with my partner, never say never.
Right.
Because you never know where you might go in the heat of intimacy and in the heat of passion. So my response to your question would be, I haven't gotten to the place yet that I know of something that I'm interested.
That is an easy out response. We're gonna let Chauncey take that one.
I think it's an easy
take that
out.
one too.
Well, I don't think it's
Look,
easy
Chauncey,
out.
I ain't saying that it's not the truth. I said, but it sounds really well. I tried to record it, but
there were some things that I was interested that I have tried, but I'm saying it isn't anything new yet that I've heard of that I want to try that I haven't tried.
Okay, Keisha.
Oh, I like her answer. I love that answer. And I'm going to take that answer. Give me a different question.
But I'm always reading. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
Always researching. Yeah.
I do like to research. I will not lie to you. And I do have the book 101 Ways to Please Your Man in Bed. But you know, like I said,
is that even a book? Oh,
Yeah.
it's a book.
And it's 101 ways.
Woof.
Yep, it's a book.
Like it.
All right, CG, your turn. And Natasha, your turn. I ain't gonna get her.
Communication, like I think I do pretty well with communicating. So there's not really anything that I can think of right now. Because if there's anything I'm interested, I'm like, yo.
Exactly.
I'm thinking about trying out what you think about, and you know, if it's a yes, cool. If it's no, or if it's like maybe later, we're married, cool. All right.
Right. I think that for myself, my answer is probably similar to yours, Chauncey. But the things that I've already tried, especially with my spouse, because he's such a gentle person. I'll just say that he's such a gentle person, and the things that we have tried has enhanced our intimacy for way more than anything else. I'll just say that. So I don't know of anything that we would think of now, because like we are getting older. My bones, my back always hurt, my leg hurt, you know what I mean? I can't be doing no extra dynamic twisting and turning and things. I'm not joking, I'm telling you. I always tell people, like, you know, we all women of color, we look younger than our age, but internally, I'm gonna tell you, you can't get past that bullshit, because I'm gonna tell you, try and put your leg behind your head if you want to, and see if you're not going to Temple Hospital or somebody and try to get your hip put back into place or something. These things don't work.
Friday to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, when I was younger, I was, you know, think about it, you were so more flexible, and you know what I mean? Oh no. So I think wanting to do some of the things that, like, even if you're looking at porn, you want to do some of those things. I can't do them. I mean, I can't do them. I cannot do pretzel legs and all these things. Like, I can't do those things, so it doesn't work for. So we gotta stay in our realm. But I think that's probably the biggest thing, that we're not physically able. And I'm just being honest, we're not physically able to do the things we may want to do. Like one time I did think about having like a pole in my room, you know what I mean? And I look at P Valley, I wish to God I could do all that stuff they do on P Valley. I really do. Because I would
You
feel
don't
so
have
good
to
get
do
the
all that
skin.
though, Kimmy.
Yeah, well, no,
You
I do.
can,
I do the 55 and plus version of that now.
yeah, you can be real slow and slinky
Real
and walk
slow and
around.
sensual.
You don't have
Nothing,
to.
nothing that takes me off the ground that I may crash back down onto the ground. So that's how I'm living. And guess what? We are very satisfied with it. I hope he is. He'll never complain about nothing. So I hope he's satisfied. I try my best. And I think the biggest thing that you're saying, Natasha, being open to do different things,
Mhm.
to enhance your sexual experience with your mate, your spouse, or whoever. So
Mhm.
that's my
Very
thought.
much so. Very much so. And I'm gonna answer my own question because I put myself as a sex educator, and all the things that I do is really based around helping especially Black women come into pleasure, which is not just sex. I purposely put myself in spaces, in workshops, in environments to make me go, So I still have a lot of
Mm.
I just came off of a conference, really, really good conference. And I've done this conference a couple years. The first time I went in person, there was a dungeon. And I was like, oh, cool. I went and looked at it when no one was there. And then I took my happy ass onto the workshops. This year, I went in when it was in use. I didn't do anything, but I'm like baby stepping up. What could happen here? I'm not as uncomfortable as I thought I was. Like I get to see what's happening. The atmosphere is very electrifying. I will say that the energy, the freedom of what goes on in those spaces is like, am I really as free as I thought I was?
Wow,
And so
that's a good point. Yeah.
the level of who knows what'll happen next year when I go, but it's just, for me, I feel like I can't be a proper leader or like a proper therapist, coach, everything that I do if I don't embody what I am teaching people, because I never want to teach people from a place of just book smart. Like I want to teach them from a place of, no, I did it. I get how really, really hard it is, especially as a Black woman. Pleasure is it's just not a thing for us. This is very new for us. And so I always want to be able to walk my talk.
I hear you. So I'm going to ask one question before we wrap something up. Okay. And I don't know how you guys relate to this or how you can answer this, but I'm going to throw it out here because CG, this is not for you because you probably did this at 11. When did the first time you realize you had an orgasm? Because everybody don't have orgasms. You know that? What?
I had one in the 5th grade in Miss Jane's class at St. Malachy.
Oh my God, girl, stop it.
It was just sitting in the chair, and all of a sudden I had an orgasm out of nowhere. That's when I learned orgasm was good. But then the next one I really truly had that was for like that, 20 years old.
20.
I was in my 20s.
I was
In my 20s.
I was 21. I had sex,
Yeah.
but I did not truly, and I enjoyed it, but I did not truly have an orgasm until I was almost 21.
I think I didn't have my first orgasm until after I had my first child.
Damn.
I was probably 15 and I did it myself in the bathtub.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw it out there because you know what?
What's
Talking
up?
about women having orgasms, especially women of color, sometimes that can be taboo. We can just slip right on over that. But
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying, Natasha? We can slip. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So
Well, because I feel like the orgasm is different than the pleasure of having sex.
yeah.
And so I think that we don't always recognize, if we're not educated properly, that they're not one and the same.
That's
Yeah.
And
true.
so
That's true.
That's a good point,
I
Tom.
definitely
Mhm.
I definitely enjoy the intimacy with my partner, the intimacy, the touch. That is very orgasmic for me,
Right.
but that is the most important part of the entire thing for me. is the intimacy. Because
Yeah.
that's why I used to have a running joke that a guy could do it to whatever as long as she had a bag over her head, right? Or if there was a hole in the wall, right? He could
Let's
be
ask
pleasured.
Sneaky now. When did he have his first orgasm? I bet it was about 13.
Because
I
it's
don't
about
even
the,
remember, to be honest with you.
it's about the letting go. It's
Right.
about the connection, the
Mhm.
sensuality, all of that plays a part in having an orgasm. You can have sex, and sex is sex, and sex is good, and it the whole bit, but you won't have that truly orgasm unless you have all those different parts to
Right.
me going on.
Right. And recognizing that sex doesn't start or end in the bedroom, like there
Right.
is the leading up to, and there is the aftercare, which I think is lost in translation so much about the aftercare.
It's a lost art, isn't it?
It
It's a
really,
lost
really
art.
is. It is a whole bunch. All right, girl, we done, and keep it moving. No, like there's after. Like you can't do all that and not bring me down from that.
Right.
But I will say, and I've said this before, if we go back to, you all remember when Jocelyn Elders was the Surgeon General under, you know, President Clinton. And
Yeah.
she said back then that if we teach our young people how to please themselves,
Yes, ma'am.
we will see a decrease in STD and teen pregnancy and so many things that are out there if we encourage them to do. And honey, you can see they swept that under the rug because I ain't heard about it since.
Say
Well, I
it
used
again,
to teach my
say
son
it
all
again
the
for the
time.
people in the
Go
back,
ahead.
because people need to hear that. Say it again. Chauncey, say that again, because that's not to just make a joke out of it or make light of it. I
Right.
think that's really, really important what you just
I think that she brought a valid point in teaching them to please themselves. And so then therefore that would reduce teen pregnancy, STDs, the spread of HIV and AIDS, and it would just help to eradicate so many diseases that are out there. And but that's a hard conversation to have. And then who's responsible for having it with their children? And then what does it look like with privacy with adolescents in the home? And, you know, so I get the whole picture, but I did, when she said it, it just always stuck with me because I was just like, wow, it's so much truth to it.
Absolutely.
I just didn't know if I would be able to practice truth to power. I just let my kids know that if that was something that they wanted to do, that it was okay. But because I truly didn't know how to do that myself, I really couldn't teach them. And so that's also an honest conversation that you have to have.
I actually told my son when he was young, I was like, if you feel it, go and take a shower, do what you got to do. And I remember coming home from work one night. He did not know I was coming home early. They didn't need me. And I walked in and he was in there jerking off in my bedroom. And the next day, and I didn't stop him. I saw him and I just slid to the side. And then I slept on the sofa. And then in the morning, I took him out for breakfast or brunch. And then I said, I want to have a talk with you outside of the house. And he said, what do you want to talk about? And I said, I want to talk about you jerking off in my room. He said, well, you were the one who encouraged me to do it. And I said, but did I need to tell you not to do it in my
right?
You see what I mean? That's what I mean. Like the space. It's more than just saying it's okay to do it. It's more than just okay, even teaching them. You have to give them a safe space to be able to do it. And then now what happens to you as that parent if you're a witness or it can do something even to you because that's your baby.
Well, I wasn't traumatized because I had always been like, you need to go take a shower. You need to go in your room.
Let me go ahead 5 minutes while showers.
So that's like real honest. If we're asking if we are, for the most part, well, again, I'm a millennial. Millennial Gen Z is more of like the first generation to actually be like, I'm going to prioritize my pleasure. Now, if we say that we are going to teach who, you have to worry about who's going to teach because it has not been taught. Like it wasn't taught to me.
Right.
Like I had to go through the knowledge and get my education and just make a decision that this is important to me and this is the path that I'm going to go down. and I'm going to find people that align with my values so that I can get the right information. But it's not a lot of people out there, especially Black and brown people, that have that mentorship or know where to go to be like, how do I teach my child? Because I don't know, like, I'm trying to learn this shit myself. Like, how do I teach them? So it's just about getting the right community and being honest with yourself that you don't know how to teach that, and then going and finding the information so that you have that.
Well, I think that you guys were wonderful today. This was a very transparent episode. Funny too, but it was very transparent. One thing I want to ask you, Natasha, you said that you go to conferences and seminars and things like that. I think that you know, if you're able to, that because I know me and Mel are working on some other live footage things to transpire on the porch this season. But I think that would be an excellent avenue to get some live footage. You know what I mean? Things that are allowable. That's what I'm saying. Allowable.
Because on my Instagram, I got some sneak peeks.
Yeah, because I think that you know, we have these great conversations, but a lot of people are very visual. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people are very visual. So you know, we can talk off a line, but I think that this season we can definitely bring that to the porch as well. So again, in closing, anybody have any final remarks? Because this was an outstanding episode, and thank you, Tasha, for your guidance in this episode. Any last remarks, Keisha?
Last remarks. Nothing to say.
I know it's a speechless moment, though. Really, it is. It gives you a lot of food for thought. I'll just say that much. Mel?
I believe in pleasure yourself till you can't pleasure yourself no more. And at the end of the day, because it's really all about you, because if you don't know how to please you, nobody else is going to know how to please you.
Right.
So I think when we talk about sex, pleasure yourself. Know what you want.
Chauncey?
I think, Tasha, thank you so much, because your perspective is always very concise, and it does make me think. I think that you need to let us know how people can reach out to you for your services. Let us know if you work with adolescents in addition to working with adults, and what that looks like.
And cougars.
And cougars.
I'm assuming cougars are adults, but
they're adults, but they're a different branch of adults. So,
but no, but thank you. I mean, because I think one of the points that you made earlier when you brought up the question about just simply having the conversation about sex with your partners, how open do you feel? How vulnerable do you feel? I think people think that they are, but I think that we're not as open as we think we are. And I think people find it easier to try and slide something in on you than to ask you first if this is something that you would be interested in doing or whatever. But, you know, by you bringing up those questions, that really made it food for thought for me. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
So agreed. So agreed.
Natasha, you any closing thoughts?
Thank you for having the conversation, for, you know, people that look like us. It's not a lot of us that are, it's getting better, but, you know, it is just my hope to bring that to this platform and bring the people that I know so that they have more resources. Like, I don't work with kids, but I do know people that do work with kids, and they have the books and all that. So I'm just trying to open up the space to where it's just like, you need somebody, I got somebody for you to talk to, okay?
There you go. I know a guy that know a girl that know a girl. So that's it. That's all networking. That's all we do, right?
Absolutely. And CG?
I mean, I hope it, you know, it expands on our community more, because, you know, we don't need kids learning from, you know, porn and their other little
Amen.
young friends. Like, they need a realistic outview on this stuff. So I hope this conversations happen more. And, you know, I think especially as men or anybody who's got like a type of rotation or something, like, man, you don't need that if you know how to communicate with who you're with. Everything you might need to be in that person, you know, you reduce your exposure to STDs and stuff like that. So, you know, learn to communicate about this stuff. It will really help your life.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you again, ladies, and thank you, CG. As I said, this was an awesome episode. So join us again every Wednesday when we drop a new episode. This is Let's Chit Chat Sis. This is season 4. And I'm your girl, Kimmy. And joining me on the porch tonight is
Keisha.
Ramel.
Natasha.
Francie.
GG.
Thank you, guys. Everybody have a wonderful week on purpose, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
Peace.
Hey.